Hello guys, it's been a while. We have not made a video in almost a month, but we've been moving into a new place. We bought a house.
It's just been kind of busy around here, but we wanted to sit down and make a video for you guys today.
So we'll be reacting to this guy who has quite a negative view on the new Ahsoka show. I initially I subscribed to him because I did agree with him on a lot of things about Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, all these other Disney Star Wars shows, but I just kind of drew the line when he came out with these videos about Ahsoka, so let's get into it.
We are really big fans of Star Wars, and even though Disney has bought in Star Wars, I guess we're just like diehard fans still. And I mean, we always kind of have a joke with each other, like we know the truth. So we figure we would give you guys our insight on his bad takes.
We know the truth. Let's begin.
Anyway, when we last checked in with Ahsoka, we were following the adventures of boring women in space in search of balls that will lead them to a ring, Thion, which is totally not supposed to be confused with the Eye of Sauron, but don't worry, the Lord of the Rings ripoffs are just beginning.
And he says it's a Lord of the Rings ripoff, but it does sound like that.
Life imitates art, but
Right.
art also imitates art.
The point, I mean, Dave Filoni created this show, and he knows his history on Star Wars Legends, stuff that's no longer canon. Scion was a Sith Lord, Darth Scion, and one of the key features about him is he had like a white scarred eye. So that's why they're calling it the Eye of Scion. It's almost like an Easter egg to Legends from Knights of the Old Republic, which is a video game.
Award-winning girl bosses are on the hunt to track down the last remaining toxic males in the Disney Star Wars universe. You gotta give Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni credit. They are thorough in their abject failure.
It's another female lead. Oh my gosh.
So what's happened since then? Previously on Starhurst.
And I think it's just dumb at this part. He has to edit it to make it look like they're just like boring. I think it's funny. I like this kind of editing. I watch a whole bunch of stupid videos like this, but it's like there was a lot of dialogue, a lot of story progression.
If you have to edit it to make it look boring, then that kind of destroys like your argument that it is boring.
Exactly. Again, I think it's funny, but this isn't what it was. Anakin.
Outside of that, nothing happened. A colossal, pointless waste of time.
What? Like, so much happened. What do you mean nothing happened? They literally went into a different galaxy that we've never seen before, which opens up Star Wars' universe into something so much bigger, which is honestly what it should be. If it's capable of, going to all these different planets and all these things, the thought of going to a different galaxy that is the thing or thoughts of like legends among Jedi raised at the temple.
She would literally talk to Anakin in the world between worlds and healed from her trauma.
Once beloved, male-dominated franchise that a lot of women liked.
And I will say, like, we're not here to defend like all the woke female leads, but there's a way to do a female lead in a right way, and then there's a way to do it in a wrong way. And I think our opinion comes down to it doesn't matter if it's female or male, it's if it's a good character and good character writing. Right?
Right. Like Rey, she didn't have a good character progression or
Yeah.
arc or anything, but I think Ahsoka had an arc in the show Clone Wars, but then has her own show, and she has another arc.
Another thing too is that, this guy and other critics we've noticed have been complaining about how Ahsoka is so stoic. And, I've always kind of, when we talk about it, I say that I feel like that does make sense for her character.
She was trained as a Jedi, and Jedi are meant to be emotionless. That's literally part of the code.
And this can't be stated enough. Disney has done the impossible. They have taken the world's most popular, most beloved, most indestructible cinematic franchise and reduced it to a category on a fledgling streaming service. And the pattern with D Plus shows, be it Disney Star Wars or Disney Marvel, repeats again and again. Starts out with hype, the keys start jingling, and it's followed by disappointment.
Please, it was my fault. Sonny, it was my fault. I hit him. I started to fight with him. Please, Sonny.
Sure, we saw some ships flying, Jedis leaping. We saw some cute little creatures speaking their cute little creature language. Also, fake YouTube reactors can make their excruciating reactions.
Get up, come on, I can see you there.
Cool, a new creature.
Oh, I know, it's so exciting.
I love Star Wars.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
There were a lot of smirks. There were space whales with hyperspace buttholes. Unfortunately, we were missing important things like characterization and a story. I've read coloring books with more complexity than this. So, through episodes 1 through 7, what did we learn? Well, the New Republic is an incompetent matriarchy when...
Which also, like, you know, as frustrating as it may be as like a viewer to watch what's going on with the New Republic, it's like it gives a lot of insight into how you get to episode 7. So, I mean...
Right. I mean, the new creators of Star Wars have to kind of fill in the gaps as to why, like, the First Order rose and stuff like that. So... I mean, it's making sense. They are incompetent, but that's not a reason to complain. Like, people are trying to fix what the sequels were, so...
It makes sense for the story, that's how you would get from, you know, thinking that you're winning to all of a sudden...
Yeah, the First Order.
The First Order, yeah.
Presented with indisputable holographic evidence that there were Force users, and on top of that, they knew about Moff Gideon, which means they had to know about the plot surrounding Baby Yoda to take his blood, create an army of Beskar armored dark troopers, Force-sensitive clones of Moff Gideon to incorporate in that army, and after 7 episodes, the New Republic still says,
Nah, it'll be fine.
To be fair, that's completely consistent with everything we've seen from the New Republic in the entirety of Disney Star Wars. And the character of Morgan Elsbeth remains the shining example of what a Disney girl boss is.
I actually really enjoy her character because for the most part, you know, we thought the Night Sisters were gone. And then also in this later episode, you can see that her appearance changes. So it's almost like she like levels up in her Night Sister magic or something.
For that, she doesn't have one. Remember the Marok? Remember the Marok theories? Is he Ezra Bridger? Is he Mara Jade? Is he Galen Merrick? Is he Baby Yoda? Is he Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.?
But to be fair, like, I wouldn't have wanted him to be any of those people.
Right.
Like, it...
Not, I mean, why does he have to be someone, you know? It was foreshadowing that there were, you know, towards the end of the show, in the finale, the Night Mothers, they raised the dead clone troopers, or stormtroopers, and Marok was, he was an inquisitor that was, like, necromancy, you know, and so it was kind of foreshadowing that.
And I wouldn't have wanted him to be Ezra because it's like we want Ezra to be the good guy.
Right.
I wouldn't wanted him to be Star Killer because, I mean, that would just take away attention from the story, I feel like, because that's like its whole like thing on its own.
Right,
you know?
right.
Turns out he was just a fart in the wind, literally. Then there's Ray Stevenson's Schnauzer. Again, what does she want? What's her goal, aside from asking a lot of questions?
Her and Balon are like 2 of the best characters in the whole show. And they're fan favorites.
Exactly. And she asks a lot of questions, as any Padawan would, as any student would.
Right.
And she doesn't know everything. She wants to know what the Jedi Order was like, or this or that. What are these fairy tales or these stories you're telling me?
And it's interesting, too, because they're what... you know, I've heard referred to as like gray characters where you wouldn't really necessarily say that they're good or evil. And I think that that's like really complex and makes a character really interesting.
Right. And she wants to impress her master, so that's how you do it. You ask questions.
Now, Balin did say she was trained to be something else. Maybe we'll find out what that is by the final episode. And the other thing I know about General Hera is she's a general.
Classified. I'm a general. Nothing's classified to me. Well, when you're a general, you can disobey orders too.
I do seem to remember Hera from Rebels having somewhat of a personality, but that's not the case here. Then, of course, there's those gratuitous ass shots. See, I can be positive about the show. Then there's Lord Balin, played by the late Ray Stevenson, who was a really nice guy. I got to hang out with him for a day in my comic shop. May he rest in peace. Who was easily the best thing in this show, but it's because of his mere presence alone. Unfortunately, his character turned in to be like every other character in this show. Nothing. Despite his little Pekingese asking him questions.
And
make sense.
he was something, and yeah, they were supposed to set him up, and at last episode he's searching for that thing he was sensing, and they weren't going to show it because they were going to show what happens in Ahsoka season 2 or the movie that they're making or whatever's coming next. So and I liked him a lot, and I want to see what happens to him. Unfortunately, his actor passed away. We might see what happens to his character. We might not, but they were building up to that.
I would say as far as a side character goes, he does have a very interesting story.
Yeah, I was intrigued.
After question, he really didn't answer any, and his character started to sound like the Sphinx from Mystery Men.
That sort of power is fleeting. What I seek is the beginning. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. For now, I see what once was the great witch kingdom of the Dathmiri.
Called to something in the other galaxy where Thrawn and Ezra were. Maybe we'll find out what that is in the final episode. Then there's Ezra Bridger from Rebels. And again, if you hadn't seen that show, you would have no idea who this guy is. Other than it was someone Sabine very platonically liked. That's why when Sabine found Ezra, it was the single worst reunion of two characters no one knows, with all the emotional impact of returning to work on Monday. And it's impossible to ignore the main character of Ahsoka.
I mean, their reunion, as far as that, like, not everything's a Hollywood love movie. Like, you know, they run into each other's arms. They love each other a lot. And when you're gone from people like that, your reaction is underwhelming because it's just like, well, how are you supposed to act, you know? So I think they kind of portrayed that kind of perfectly. It's kind of awkward. So
Right.
I think it was perfect, and it makes sense. You know, what are they supposed to kiss and do stuff?
Sabine, our sassy, smirky, go-girl boss on her hero's journey based on your...
Like, why is she a girl boss? See, and that's what I just don't even get about this. Like, just because she's a girl character, she has to be a girl boss.
I guess so.
Like, she even has, like, made a mistake in this episode where she, you know, didn't destroy the ball and went with Balon and...
The map.
The map. And it's just like...
She makes mistakes throughout the show.
Yeah,
so many times. So she's not perfect, like Rey was.
Average garden variety 2016 SJW who spent most of her time on Tumblr. She has impenetrable makeup and is a character who is about as exciting
I agree
as a
with.
room
She
temperature
does.
glass of water. Just look at this scene after she risks it all on the hopes of saving Ezra after she thinks she got her master Ahsoka killed and betrayed her entire mission.
I was hoping for a room with a view.
She didn't think she got her master killed. She thought her master was killed by Balin, and so she thought, like, she was alone, and that was kind of her only choice.
And she did kind of have a snarky remark to Balin, but that's like coping. That people cope with like comedy all the time. So
Well, yeah, and Balin was the one that killed her master, so...
Right.
Who the hell is Sabine? What does she want outside of finding her very platonic friend Ezra, which she has done and doesn't seem that excited about? Well, let's keep...
Sabine has also, like, lost her family from the war on Mandalore. And Ezra, I think, to her represents, like, a piece of normalcy and a piece of family again.
Yeah, she wasn't excited to see him. I think she was at heart, but like I said, they haven't seen each other for 10 years, so a lot's changed. And it can be kind of awkward when you see someone like that.
mind that this is mystery box bullshit, and Sabine is on the hero's journey, so we will most certainly get our answer in the final episode. This show is called Ahsoka. Unfortunately, our titular character is one of the worst things in it. She likes chasing balls. Her lightsaber ability is less than stellar. She really doesn't like showing things like emotion or doing anything like changing a facial expression, outdone by the younger version in the pointless flashback. Yes, the show is named after Ahsoka.
This flashback wasn't pointless because that is how she like healed her inner trauma.
Right. And after that, she did actually start to show more emotion and smile and laugh. When she laughed and hugged Ezra, like that's not emotion. Seems pretty
Right.
emotional to me. I don't know. And as we said again, like or before, she was trained as a Jedi since pretty much birth, and Jedi are very stoic. One of their codes is there is no emotion, only peace. Qui-Gon doesn't have a lot of emotions. When was the last time you saw Qui-Gon smile? You know, he never smiles. He never smiles. He's very stoic because he's one with the Force. He's very balanced with the Force. And so is Ahsoka. And it's evident with her lightsabers. Her lightsabers used to be an Inquisitor's lightsaber, but she healed them because she's that balanced with the Force, and they turned white. Only a true balanced Force user can turn their kyber crystals white. And so,
I didn't know that.
yeah, as I said again, she's peaceful. She's one with the Force, and she did have some trauma, which is normal, and it's just, yeah, I don't know what he's trying to prove. It just doesn't make sense. He wouldn't be complaining about Qui-Gon, you know?
Right.
Yes, Ahsoka is in it, but it's not about Ahsoka. But we did find out Jedi can get knocked out and float in an ocean for half a day without drowning and have a 10-hour dream about Anakin that other Jedi can hear.
Other Jedi, meaning Hera's son Jason, can hear because it was real. It wasn't like all in her head.
Right.
It might have been, but I think Anakin actually showed up there, and, you know, Jason is a Force user.
What he's trying to say.
And he also appeared in Rebels that everyone's been looking for this entire show. Well, in the 6th episode of an 8-episode series, Ahsoka finally finds Thrawn. How? She travels in the mouth of a space whale. And let's not forget Thrawn, from the EU anyway, is the most brilliant of the Emperor's minions. He has risen to power thanks to his tactical brilliance and cunning, and has been described as one of the most threatening antagonists in the Star Wars universe. He is an unparalleled military strategist and tactical genius who has made extensive study of military intelligence and the artwork of other cultures. Unfortunately, in what I saw with Rebels and this show, not so much. Looks like he's let himself go a little bit. As Razor Fist puts it, he has the posture of a seahorse. Of course, being a male character in live-action Disney Star Wars, he has to rely heavily on a group of women, notably Lucasfilm middle management, the Night Sisters of Dathomir. Thrawn honors Balin's word and allows Sabine to go to find Ezra.
So, Night Sisters are dark Force users. So I feel like, in a way, it makes sense because he's fighting against light Force users, so he's using his advantage with dark Force users.
Well,
right?
and he's really smart, intelligent. He always is ahead of everyone. But he does claim in this show and in another show that the Force has always made him question what's going on because he just can't comprehend what it is, and like, you know, it's unpredictable to him, and he's a brilliant warlord, and so it just doesn't make sense to him. So for him to have the advantage and take advantage of the Night Sisters is almost key for him to like succeed, and he does succeed. He's so dumb and incompetent in the show.
Yeah, literally, like, the only thing that he like loses on is that Ezra gets aboard the ship, but it's like he wanted to literally leave everyone else that he left behind, even Balon and Shin, you know, he didn't really have any love for them. So even though this guy is saying that he's incompetent or, you know, whatever, he actually just, I think, is very calm and collected. And so he goes about his battle strategies in that way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
which she does within an hour without equipment after fighting off 5 or 6 guys. Then Thrawn double crosses Sabine by sending out Balin and his Shih Tzu to go kill them. The master strategist also knows Ahsoka is coming and allows her to choose her own path to stay one step ahead of her. Our heroes are reunited and Thrawn's plans seem to be thwarted, except he was one step ahead of them. He was just wasting their time while he loaded up his special packages from Space Columbia, which is interesting. While Thrawn was wasting Ahsoka and Sabine's time, this show was wasting ours. And we can't forget Anakin Skywalker. You know, the guy whose story ended in Return of the Jedi, and probably the only real character what's left of the Star Wars fandom tuned into the show to see. And like this show, it was completely pointless. After Ahsoka is defeated by Rey Stevenson, she floats for hours in the ocean and has a dream about the world between worlds, with a young Ahsoka going through things like the Clone Wars and the Battle of Mandalore. And was he trying to teach her some deep, meaningful lesson? Was there a dark revelation? Is she really talking to Anakin?
Even if she wasn't talking to Anakin, this experience clearly triggered something good inside of her, and she ended up healing from her past and her trauma that she has. So something happened, something good came out of it. There was a point, there was a lesson, and it's just you just can't say stuff and hope people agree with you. I mean, you could read the comments on this video, they all agree with him. He's clearly just appealing to his audience, which is sad. I'm sad that they just don't want to give Star Wars a chance. I feel like they never will, no matter what happens.
Just because it's Disney now, it's all bad.
It's just sad, you know. I mean, there was a reason for this all happening, and I feel like Dave Filoni isn't dumb. He may make mistakes, but I mean, I've been appreciating whatever he does, and it's been really good. It's a lot better than Obi-Wan, in my opinion. I'll agree with him on a lot of what he said about Obi-Wan or even Mandalorian season 3, but I mean, I gave Ahsoka a chance, and it was really good. I enjoyed the entire series. So it's just, I don't know, this is kind of whack.
Just in her head?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't care.
And neither did the writers, because apparently it was just her imagination trying to talk her into living after being in the ocean for 12 hours. But that's not the only cameo. Oh no, apparently Anakin created 20 training videos.
And I actually love that they showed that in live action, because they did show that animated. So it was cool to see it across different mediums.
Right. And what master wouldn't want to create 20 plus recordings for them to learn from? Right. And it's nice because people pass away, and it's nice to have a memory of them, of some, whether it's a recording or a picture or a notebook or a letter they wrote to you. So it's just, what are you complaining about?
Cameo after this.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's a lot of Anakin. So in the Ahsoka finale, were setups fulfilled? Questions answered? Were there any major revelations? Were character arcs completed in a satisfying manner? The short answer is no. The episode opens up with Morgan Elsbeth getting a promotion from the Lucasfilm management, which looks like your typical Lucasfilm job evaluation.
Do you pledge yourself to the sisterhood?
That's actually kind of funny.
To the old ways?
Then they make her a fart sword. And a lie is leading up to a battle for the ages. Oh, I'm sorry, the middle-aged.
I kind of thought it was
Count
funny.
Dooku was old, and he's one of the best characters.
On top of the ship. This is a point where Disney Plus analytics dictate something needs to happen. Luckily, our heroes and male feminist ally are pilots that find the working conditions under Thrawn so horrible, they're worse than making iPhones in China. That's
Not everything is woke just because it has a female.
Pilots who can fly multiple ships, who currently has a Star Destroyer, quote-unquote, raining hell on our 2.5 Jedi, and completely missing, decides to defend from a ground assault from 3 people by putting troops inside. They fight some zombie stormtroopers, which might have been a good idea, but not here. Come to think of it, the zombie stormtrooper thing would have come in handy a couple of episodes ago. But all of that is immaterial because everything was leading to this groundbreaking event. The historic first all middle-aged female HR management lightsaber duel.
Out of all out of all the shows that have been coming out with, and the ones that have lightsaber duels, I think this one was honestly a little bit better, if if not at the same level as the one between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show. I think it was really good, and it clearly showed that they practice a lot, and they really were dedicated to making it look good. I mean, and I know the actor of Morgan Elsbeth is a martial arts expert, and it clearly shows. And Rosario Dawson isn't, but she really is trying, and I think she did a good job, even though she is in her 40s, maybe 50s. And I think she did a good job, and I think it looked really good.
It's literally to the point where they could do anything with Star Wars. It wouldn't even matter what it was, what character it was, and he would not have anything good to say about anything. It's just always going to be negative. So that's kind of why we wanted to make this video.
Yeah, no, we had to I don't know, I just had to say something. I can't comment a paragraph anymore or an essay anymore, so here it is.
That's right, Ahsoka Tano and Morgan Elsbeth in a duel to the death, fighting like middle-aged women. And the hero's journey
That's
is
literally the
complete.
third or fourth time he's had to
Skywalker,
mention
what a
that.
pussy. It took him 3 movies. Sabine only took 5 minutes to become a Jedi. She helped open a door, she got a lightsaber on her own, and she helped...
It showed Sabine's struggle with the Force throughout the whole show. So I don't know why he's saying it took her 5 minutes.
Right,
know?
it took it. She literally starts showing signs of the Force in the last episode, and she has experience training as a Jedi off screen and prior to the show, which maybe we'll get something on, but probably not. But I mean, it's like, are you going to complain about Luke training in between episode 4 or 5 and 6? Because in episode 5 he got his hand cut off by Vader and was a dweeb, but in episode 6 he was a baller. There's a lot that happens in between shows, which is unfortunate, but that's just how it is. She did train. It's just...
Well, and she's been training the whole time in the show, I feel like, basically, except maybe the very first episode when we saw her and she, wasn't with Ahsoka yet. And then she was training before the show started, after the show Rebels, when she was like actually the first time apprenticing Ahsoka. And then she briefly trained with Kanan in Rebels. So it wasn't 5 minutes.
Just has to make stuff up.
To a Star Destroyer.
I actually loved that.
I thought it was cool. Him and Kanan did that in Rebels.
Yeah, it was like teamwork because she pushed him too.
Right.
Although that last one might have been too many transgalactic tacos instead of the Force. Thrawn gets away. Sabine abandons Ezra on a Star Destroyer. Also, she could be with her lover. Master Ahsoka. Master and submissive.
Okay.
Master and apprentice.
Shut up.
Long Wild to pad watch minutes for Disney Plus. Ray Stevenson's Cocker Spaniel joins the indigenous people.
He's called her so many different dogs.
Got a combined 0 lines of dialogue in this.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of his stuff where it's just like cheap insults. It's not even like a good argument.
Right.
Looking towards Mordor, paying homage or outright ripping off a better story. Lord of the Rings, totally not like the Eye of Sauron, which I know is from KOTOR thanks to Gary, and I don't
so
care
he
that he
mentions
still
it.
ripped off Tolkien. There's
So
also
then
the
what?
Ahsoka the White and the Pillars of Argonath. So Thrawn makes it to Dathomir. Somehow Ezra, disguised as a stormtrooper, including the helmet, while piloting an Imperial shuttle, finds the ships of the New Republic that didn't exist the last time he was in the galaxy. And Sabine and Ahsoka are stranded in another galaxy, but at least they can be comforted by our last member berry, the Force Ghost.
I don't think that they're just like comforted because Anakin's Force Ghost is there. I feel like they kind of have faith in Ezra because he got out and he'll probably like be able to get back and rescue them like they did for him,
Well, yeah, maybe, but I mean,
And Thrawn's gone, so there's nothing.
Ezra sacrificed himself to get Thrawn out of Lothal, and then they ended up in this new galaxy. So he was able to go home for once, and Sabine and Ahsoka were home this entire time. So it's their turn, as weird or messed up as that sounds, it's like they're making a sacrifice now. They made a sacrifice to stay behind in this new galaxy for Ezra to go home.
Of Anakin. That's
You.
right, Anakin.
Oh,
Anakin Skywalker.
Oh my god!
What's
And
wrong
here
with
ends another pointless
Anakin?
adventure from
It's
Disney
okay to
and
like a
Lucasfilm on
character.
D+. Ahsoka, a show that completely ignores the real Last Jedi, so the other Last Jedi could look for another Last Jedi while being pursued by a former Last Jedi. And I still marvel that people think that Disney Star Wars is about something and that it
all of those are like different circumstances though, which is what makes it so cool. And yeah, maybe if you aren't like a very deep Star Wars fan, like that would be boring to you. But if you're really into the lore and you get that, like, Ahsoka was like actually trained when it was still the Jedi Temple and all that, and so was Balon, but then his apprentice was not around at that time and he trained her to be more, meaning I'm guessing he probably like wasn't as strict, like maybe in a Qui-Gon sort of way,
Well, by more he means just not the way the Jedi would do it, because they were dogmatic and they started following the Republic too much instead of the actual Force itself. And that's what their downfall was. So he saw that clearly and he was training her to be more, which is whatever they were. And it just, I don't know. It's just weird. We're almost done, thankfully.
going somewhere. This is just the latest example. It's not. But sure, I still have some questions concerning season 1 of Ahsoka. What was calling to Balin across the universe that wasn't the witches of Lucasfilm?
I kind of thought it was the Wills at first, but now what were we saying? We think it might be the world between worlds.
I don't know. We might not ever know.
Well, what's like your theory though?
That it was the mother of the Mortis gods, because she was the mother of the Mortis gods. There was this father who was balanced, the son who was dark side, and the daughter was light side. But there was a mortal human being who was the mother, and she took care of them and she balanced all of them. This is Legends. I think they're trying to make it into canon though. But she got sad that she was mortal and not going to be able to live with them forever. So she ended up going into the pool of knowledge and the daughter's pool and the son's pool, and that just messed her up, turning her into just this demented, evil, almost like dark side user. And so they trapped her so she wouldn't wreak havoc on the entire universe. And so that's what a lot of people are saying it is, and her name is Abeloth. And so it's we might not find out because Ray Stevenson passed away, but they were saying that he was going to get possessed by this character, and since he's possessed they could change his appearance to a different actor, and we'll see.
If he's looking for the world between worlds, that obviously accesses different times and time and space, and so that would give you ultimate control too, better than just like a senator or something.
Right.
So
yeah, like Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
And he was training his little Pomeranian to be something else. What was that? What was Thrawn loading into his Star Destroyer? Why would you cast Wes Chapman from the
Do you not know that ends of seasons build up to the next thing? Like, what was this? What was that? What was that? It's a cliffhanger. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
So we are really into it and want to know what happens in the next show or movie or whatever.
Make him a stormtrooper taking orders. How did Sabine become a Jedi in 5 minutes? Why didn't Ezra take his lightsaber back from Sabine? Oh, I know the answer to this one. Lucasfilm wanted to represent a man refusing to take his dick.
I think he didn't take it because he knows that he's much more talented in the Force. So it's like she could use a weapon, like she could benefit more from using a weapon, and he can just use the Force because he's a master.
And he literally does make a lightsaber eventually in this show, so I don't know either.
Why does Hera always have those fucking goggles on her head that she never uses? How did Ezra avoid detection on Thrawn's Star Destroyer on a trip between galaxies? How did Ezra steal one of Thrawn's shuttles on Thrawn's Star Destroyer without being detected? How did Ezra find the New Republic ships of a New Republic that didn't exist the last time he was in this galaxy? Why did all of this happen off screen? Since we heard live.
As far as like the New Republic, like how did he find it? I mean, everyone knows where it is because it's like it's everywhere. The New Republic is not, it's not the Empire anymore. It's the New Republic, and it's not that hard to find like the HQ or the whatever, with especially with Star Wars technology, because
they're not hiding.
Yeah, they're not hiding at all like the rebels would be.
Like
As heir to the Empire.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Why didn't somebody say we're in the middle of some Star Wars? But Disney would like to thank everyone for consuming current Disney Marvel content and promises that something may or may not happen in next Disney Star Wars content. At this point, I don't know what else there is to say, but I have to admit, I don't think there's any better representation of female empowerment than Ahsoka. A bunch of boring women in space getting lost. And this is just the latest example of one of the biggest failures in
There's literally like quite a few main side, like besides Ahsoka, I'm saying side characters because Ahsoka is like the main character, right? So there's Thrawn, there's Balon, and there's Ezra. So how are you saying that there's no like men? There's a lot of like main focused men in this show.
And I feel like they didn't make him look like the stupid guy of the show, you know? I feel like I liked what, you know, it's just Anakin was great and Ezra
Anakin
was great.
too, that's another one.
Like none of them were like a doofus or goofy or stupid, you know? They all made sense, and just, I don't know, he's just pulling stuff out of his butt.
history. Ahsoka is everything wrong with Disney Star Wars.
Hard disagree. So yeah, anyways, I know this is a lot different than our other content that we have uploaded, but we want to, you know, explore and do other stuff too, and we had a lot of fun with this video.
Yeah, and I think we'll end up making some gameplay videos soon, back to Hogwarts, and maybe some Resident Evil.
Yeah, we just got our house, and maybe we'll be uploading some content with that kind of stuff too. So if you liked the video, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.